Mhm.
He had been sick for about 4 years. Actually, he was diagnosed right after our oldest child was born.
Hello, my beautiful world. Elle is here with my beautiful friend, Tracie. Hi, Tracie. Hi, great to have you. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Yeah,
I am
super excited.
excited.
We always get so excited we end up talking over each other.
Yes. I know. So before we jump into our conversation, I know it'll be juicy, it'll be a great conversation. I'm going to introduce Tracie first. So Tracie said goodbye to corporate life and found the world of coaching after a personal family tragedy. Tracie guides emerging entrepreneurial women who are ready to shift toward the next exciting chapter in business by creating a structured, sustainable, and successful business with excellent vision, skill, and decisive, bold action. I love it.
Thank you.
And just for this beautiful and amazing introduction, I know you're so amazing with what you're doing with the women, supporting them. Why did you decide to do what you do?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, as it mentions in my intro, I did have a personal family tragedy. I know that that's very a generic kind of thing, but what happened to me is when our kids were 1.5 and 4, my first husband passed away from cancer. He had been sick for about 4 years. Actually, he was diagnosed right after our oldest child was born. And that 4 years in learning how to be a mom and going between having babies, learning that whole new thing, working full time, he was planned to be the stay-at-home dad. And unfortunately, he quickly didn't have the energy to be able to manage that. So our whole vision of what was going to happen changed. After 4 years of fighting, he lost his battle, and the kids were young, and I was still working full time. So I really started, after about a year of managing survival mode after he died, I started to think about, what are things going to look like in a few years, in 5 years, in 10 years, because I was waking up in the morning, getting them to daycare, going to work all day, picking them up from daycare, taking them home and having dinner, putting them to bed, and drinking wine, and then doing it all again over and over every single day. And I just knew that there had to be a way to do it differently, to do it so that my kids had an engaged and involved mom, because I was the only parent that they had, and to do it so that I wasn't exhausted and overwhelmed and overtired every minute of every day. So I started with what I could see in the mirror at the time, which was looking at my own personal health and weight. After having 2 kids and going through all of that trauma, I was holding a lot of extra weight. And so I decided to start engaging with a health coach who brought me into the world of the fact that there are coaches, which I really wasn't in that world. I was in corporate, just living in a cubicle, doing the thing. So after losing a bunch of weight, learning how to be a health coach and starting to coach that same program where I had success, I started to think a little bit differently about what that future could look like. And I realized that if I was strategic, I could leave my corporate job, move across the country where I would live near my family, my parents, and my sister and her son, and have the opportunity to work for myself with a much different cost of living than the Bay Area in California, and be able to be involved with my kids' school. I'd still work, still build my business, but also be able to go into the classroom now and then, or go on field trips, or be available for after school celebrations and activities. And so that's what I did. I started coaching in April, actually just a month ago, 11 years ago, April of 2012. And by December, we had moved to Florida. Now, the plot twist is that shortly thereafter, I got engaged and moved back to California and got remarried. And I've been back here ever since. I was only in Florida for 8 months, but it was a really big turning point in realizing that I got to decide what I wanted for our lives, and that I got to create what that was going to look like, instead of just kind of going through the motions that circumstance had brought me to. So that's
Yeah.
when I started coaching. And while it doesn't look the same as it did 11 years ago, it's been evolving ever since.
Yeah, I love that. I love every time I hear your personal story, it's just, there's so many pieces, and it's amazing how life gives it to us, right? And what we
Yep.
do with it. And I have a similar story with a corporate in
Yeah.
a sense, was a corporate, leaving the corporate world and being able to go, remember the joy just being able to go and be with my kid at lunch, because I
Yep.
couldn't afford it
Yeah.
before. It was a commute.
Yep. Yeah. I have a really, we talk about core memories, right? Those memories that are just
Yes.
going to stick with us forever. I have a really strong core memory of, well, and pictures help. Of course, we have pictures of every minute of every day now. So one picture that came up recently in my history on Facebook was, or my memories, was the day that my oldest kid, who was in second grade when we moved to Florida, the day that he decided that he was going to be first to the classroom that day. Like, he'd
Mhm.
been trying to get there first, and we kept not getting there. And then so one day we got there and he was first, and he's standing there at the door like half an hour before school starts, waiting to be let in. But he was so proud. So I have that picture. And then the other thing that is more of a memory, while I have a couple pictures of it, is they used to do like a kite flying day at the
Uh-huh.
end of the school year, like in June. And everyone at the school, they made kites in their class, and they went out to the giant field that they had
Oh,
behind the
that's so
school,
cool.
and they flew kites like really high up in the air. And it was just like a whole school community picnic kite flying day. And
Yeah.
I always thought that was a really unique event, and it never would have happened. And I never would have been there had
Mhm.
I been traveling for work, or, had we not gone to Florida, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there were good things for
Beautiful.
sure.
Yeah. Beautiful story. So we are Community of Women of the World Network, and
Yes.
diverse, and have so many backgrounds, and women from different countries, and different growing ups, and states and countries and cities.
Yep.
And I like to always ask this question, because our background shapes our views, and sometimes
Yep.
subconsciously we don't even realize. How have your background, in your mind, limited or favored you?
Yeah. It's a great question. And, Elle, I've told you many times, the whole reason why I wanted to become part of your Women of the World Network is to be able to learn more about people that aren't like me.
Mhm.
I grew up here in Silicon Valley, California. I am a white girl, like, I remember when I was very young, and they would have like, bring your like country of origin, like your food, for like a whole potluck.
Oh.
And the Filipino kids would bring lumpia, and everyone was so excited because everyone knows how amazing that is. And, different foods from different countries. And I'm like, what am I going to bring? Corn dogs? Like, it's just, that's ick. And so I was always disappointed that I didn't have more richness to share from that perspective. And so what I get from being in your network is understanding the richness of the variety of different women that you attract. So I'm really grateful to be a part of Women of the World Network. What I would say in answer to your question about how my background has hindered or favored me is so I'll be honest, I live a life of privilege, and I have, as a white, attractive girl in California. I'm also 6 feet tall. Like, there are things about my physical appearance that allowed me to have certain things be easy in life. Not everything's easy, and we all have our things. But the trajectory that put me on was one of high achievement,
Mhm.
right? If you have privilege, you are favored, you will accomplish things, you will get good grades, you will go to college. And I don't think it was ever like told to me that way, but it was definitely expected.
Yeah.
And so I did. I went to college. I, graduated with honors. I went to corporate. I got a good job. And, I climb the ladder and all those things. So from a young age, as a high achiever, things were not very difficult to get good grades, to get the job that I wanted. It was actually straightforward. And those things aren't necessarily a help for me as an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Many entrepreneurs who are really successful come from a life of hardship and
Yeah.
overcoming. And
Yeah.
I didn't really have that. So, I've kind of, as now a 54-year-old adult who is a little more aware, like, if I don't have the hardship, how am I going to grow out? So there's a really interesting kind of dichotomy of, if things are easy for you, then you don't have the struggle that drives you. And if things are hard, then you have the struggle that drives you, but you really have to overcome it. And that's really hard. So, there's pluses and minuses on both sides. And I think that my current challenge is to overcome I don't know if it's appropriate to say, like, overcome the fact that things have been easy. Like, I want to accomplish more. And it's hard sometimes to stay driven when life has been not that difficult. So, I think it's helped and hurt in some ways. And, I hope that doesn't sound awful. Now that I'm kind of saying it out loud, I'm not sure if it comes off the way that I feel, but really the feeling is one of, it's not about my success anyway. It's about sharing what's possible with others and hopefully reaching the people who need to hear what I have to say from my experience that will help them grow their experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being open with your story and, just the way you're sharing things. And I think part of it is we're so strong, we sometimes don't even notice that,
Yeah,
be
that's
a
definitely
hardship for
true.
some others.
When my husband was sick and when he was passed, people were always like, "Oh, you're so strong, you're so brave." I'm just thinking to myself, I'm just doing what you have to do. And I think,
Yeah.
what comes out of that sometimes is maybe a detachment from how hard it really was,
Right.
because you just have to keep going. Like,
Yeah.
you have two choices: you
Oh,
keep
I
going
know.
or you don't keep going.
Yeah.
And the don't keep going, especially when you have small children, is not an option.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't an option for me anyway, right?
Yeah.
And so when I think what that does is it puts you on a like that, again, that high achieving track where sometimes maybe you're not really paying attention to the grief that you are experiencing, right? It's a
Yeah,
lot of kind
exactly.
of push away the
Right.
emotions, things like that.
Right.
And that happens, I think, with a lot of us high achievers, is there's that type of thing in there. Like, the things that were hard, yeah, they were hard. And yes, we overcame them, but oh, they weren't that hard. But,
Yes.
it's mostly because we just decided to not pay attention.
Yeah, exactly. I can totally relate. Yeah. Pushing
Mm,
on a side and kind of like, okay,
it's
I'm
fine.
attention there tomorrow. It's fine.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
fine,
fine. I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And that's so garbage.
Right.
Yet it's so
Yeah.
much a part of what we've done. And that's what we're overcoming, is
Yeah.
the tendency to say, it's fine, I'm fine.
Exactly.
Because maybe you're not, and it's okay if you're not.
Right. Exactly. I love that. So we touched on entrepreneurship, and well, we're actually talking about both, in life, in entrepreneurship and business building. What was your biggest lesson or something that you had to overcome? Well, you actually mentioned it already, but maybe in building a business.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, and again, it's very intertwined between the
Like that.
personal and the business, but I had a mentor once who helped me to understand that everything is a choice, like everything. And, I used to complain about having to make lunches for the kids to go to school, which sucks. I mean, no one like that's a thing that most people would agree is not an enjoyable thing, day in and day out, year over year over year. But like, I had a choice whether I wanted to make those lunches or not.
Mhm.
And, and, we also have a choice whether we're going to get out of bed in the morning. And we also have a choice whether we're going to overdraw our bank account. Like, we have everything is a choice. I could go buy a new car right now,
Yeah.
but it's a choice that I could make that would be good or bad for me, right? Or it would put me on a certain path. If I went to go buy a car with cash right now, well, I don't have the cash. So what would I do? I would like make all these bad choices in order to get to that point, and they would be detrimental to the things that I want in my life. Same thing with making those lunches for the kids. I wanted to make those lunches. I didn't know that I wanted to until someone helped me to see that I had a choice and I could either make them or not make them. And why am I making them? Because I want them to have food that they will eat, that I want them to get my little note that I put in there with them in the morning. I
Yeah.
want them to, they were little. This was a
Healthy.
long time ago.
Yeah.
And, and I want them to know that I care enough about them
Right.
to make their food, instead of just saying, well, forget it, you can just eat at dinner. And unfortunately, those choices are made on both sides all across the world out of different reasons.
Yes.
And when you realize that whatever you decide is a choice that you've made, then you can make the choices that serve the future that you want to create.
Exactly. Yeah. Because they're not gonna remember what you were talking about at that lunch, but they will remember that note, and they all
Right.
and
Well, and then take it to business, right? I get to choose whether or not I pick up the phone and call. It's the phone symbol for you young people. This is the phone symbol. You get to choose whether you pick up the phone and call that potential client and talk to them about what you do and how you can serve them.
Right.
Or you can not call them,
Yeah.
and one's going to have a potential client and one's going to have definitely not. And, what's the goal? Is the goal to grow your business? Then do the things that will grow your business. Meet the people, talk to them, work your skills, all those things. And if you choose not to, then maybe you have a hobby instead of a business. Like,
Right.
it all, is dependent on where you're trying to get to, right?
Yeah.
If you want to be a healthy person who can run a marathon, you have two choices. You can put on your shoes in the morning, or you cannot. If you put them on in the morning, you're one step closer to running that marathon. If you leave them off and put on your slippers, probably not getting closer to the marathon. And that choice is something that you decided and you made.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. We actually just had a conversation similar with my mom yesterday night. It's interesting. All the choices we make in life, or we don't make, or the choice. It's always the only constant thing in life is choice, right? And so
right. The whole idea that not making a choice is also a choice.
Yeah. I love that. So going back to being woman of the world, you kind of shared a little bit with your the upbringing and the food. I love the potluck.
That's why I was like, I'm buying your cookbook. I need this cookbook.
Yeah. So but what does it mean for you to be a woman of the world?
Well, I think for me, in the world, it means to be aware and acknowledge the enormous variety of people on the planet, and the enormous variety of circumstance of the people on the planet, right? And the fact that everyone is still as valuable and capable and smart and beautiful, regardless of their circumstance or their location or how they grew up or what their situation is. We get a lot of exposure through charity works and stuff, folks in India or in different African countries and things like that, where, the circumstances of their day-to-day life are like beyond comprehension for someone who's had the privilege that they've had. And they're beautiful and happy, and they have families that they love, and they're going through the struggles that are in their world. Right. And, and we go through the struggles that are in our world. And, in this country right now, we've got some.
Yeah.
And, it's not equitable, but it's relatable. And so I think that to be a woman of the world is to understand that the strengths and struggles are universal, and the circumstances are just different.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing, Tracie.
Yeah.
Okay, so my last question will be, what advice would you give to people?
Yeah.
Women, men?
People, anyone. Yeah. As a coach, I often have lots of advice, but this is something really that kind of came to me that I love to pass on because, a few years back, I was really struggling with the whole, like, why would someone want to hire me? What do I have to offer that's special? I'm just me, that kind of talk. And I think everyone can relate to that at some point in their lives or another. If they've gone past it, yes. If you haven't gotten past it, you can. So I'm just going to give you that uplift right there. Because it's true that we all, have something to offer, even if we haven't figured out what it is yet. And so I was working on, I don't know, developing a program and like putting pricing together. And, that's something that when you're a younger entrepreneur is a real, like, I don't know what to charge people and how much would they pay for me, all of those thoughts. And I realized that all of that struggle came out of struggling with like dreaming about something big for myself. I was very in the day to day again with kids and husband and life and family and, driving people places and making dinners and all that stuff. When you're in the day to day, you have to really be intentional about imagining the big dream.
Yes.
And I realized that not only did I not really have a big dream, but I was hiding from admitting that because I didn't feel like I was worthy enough to have some bigger dream. Like, I have it so good where I am. Who am I to want more?
Yeah.
And so I realized that that's what was holding me back from kind of breaking through to the next level of my own confidence in my business, because I didn't feel like I was worthy of any of the dreams that would come into my head. I'm like, yeah, but I can't do that.
Right.
And honestly, even just the other day, I found myself thinking, oh, oh no, I should start here.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's too much. I'm going to go to this lower level is the next, is the dream. The dream is this, not this. And when really this is the dream that came to me. So I wrote actually on my window, I have windows right in front of me, great light. And I wrote on my window frame, and it's still up here. It says, I am worthy of the dreams I dream. The world needs me to show up today. And it's the phrase that when I remember to look at it,
yes,
I can go pick up the phone.
Yes.
Right? I can go like own what I'm creating and share it. Because it's true. Even if I'm not the same person who wrote it, it's like a universal truth to me, right? I'm worthy of the dreams I dream, and they're waiting for me.
Absolutely.
So let's go.
Yeah.
And it's true for every person out there. Like, if you have a dream that's come to you, like that dream's put in you for a reason, go get it. And, it could change the world.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I honestly still thank you for that message, Tracie, because I find with every level that I climbing and that I'm ascending to in my own business, in my own personal growth and development, there is that self-sabotage that comes in. There is this tiny bit of voice sometimes makes you question. And it's I think it doesn't even like matter where we are at what level. There is always that next level we have to grow through. And I love how you put it on the window. That those little reminders, they remind us. And and it's such a human trait. And then the belief, it connects to the belief so much too. Right? So I love what you shared. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So inspiring.
Thank you. And one other thing about that, I'm thinking about, how it is a universal thing. And you think about the people out there who are super famous, like Oprah, right? Okay. Like, I mean, it's hard to name someone maybe bigger than Oprah. So we'll just go with Oprah. And, you know, would this phrase suit her? It absolutely would, right? I don't know what she's dreaming of these days. I mean, with her like school in South Africa, or, you know, all the things that she's accomplished, she's got something beyond that. I don't know what it is. Only she knows what that is. But she's worthy of it.
Right.
Damn sure.
Yeah.
And the world needs her to show up in order for it to become real.
Exactly.
Not for her, but for the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I always tell people that I didn't realize, you know, when we're talking about like communities and the gather community and connecting people and creating partnerships and collaborations and, you know, who knows how connecting two people is going to change something for both of them. And the fact is that whatever happens, like the world is better for it. And like when I started coaching, I didn't know I wanted to change the world, but that's what's happening. Because every time we connect people through our networks, through our communities, the world is better for it. And that makes the world better, which means we're changing the world and making it a better place. And, you know, 11 years ago, I just wanted to, you know, be able to go on a field trip with my kids.
Yeah.
So you never know where life will take you. Just keep going, because that dream that's in you, you're worthy of it, and it's waiting for you.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna finish with the rapid. Yeah, yes, I love it. I love it. And yeah, and we I feel like we could talk about this topic, this particular one advice, one word, worthy.
Yeah.
No, we could talk about it for days, right? Because the reason I love being in business for myself, the first and foremost, because I know my business is not gonna grow beyond my personal growth and development. And that's, to me, such a beautiful thing, because as I'm becoming, and like you said, you know, influencing the world, because we are becoming better versions ourselves. And yeah, I mean, building careers is a great thing. There is nothing wrong with that, but I have never experienced, you know, the growth that I experience now. So I definitely thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes.
I love that advice, and just such a great, powerful reminder of having a note, a reminder somewhere, just like you have on your window or somewhere on your table, where it will remind you, so that every time that other voice comes in, or you hear that other voice, you know, having that reminder is such a powerful thing, and it's just so simple, right, to do that. So
yeah, it's funny. I tend to be kind of a collage artist. Like I get stickers, and I put stickers and stickers and stickers on things, or, you know, I don't really do the Post-it note things anymore, but like right in front of me, the little bottom stand of my monitor, I've got Gather Community Spring Showcase, Authentic Friendships, a Post-it that says more about them, another Gather Community sticker, a card, another sticker, another card, like all of these things just piled on top of each other. But on the window frame, it's just that.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, it's clear. It's just like, there's nothing. I do have curtains, which sometimes cover it, but every time I open the curtains, it's there. Yeah. And then, which is kind of a cool metaphor too, like open the window and
I love
remember.
That. Yeah. I love that. That's true. Beautiful, beautiful. So if you are listening to this on the recording, YouTube or podcast, please connect with Tracie. She's absolutely amazing. And I love how she brings the boldness in everyone she works with. So please connect with her. We're going to post all the links and website links and everything, how to connect with Tracie here. And our final part, I'm going to move on to our rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Your favorite book name is?
Oh, my favorite book, like the title of my favorite book, you know, the one that recently caught my eye that I was like, oh, I should open that again, is Brene Brown, Daring Greatly.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Beach or mountains?
I'll say beach.
Favorite?
I do live in Santa Cruz, so, but we never go to the beach. Like I do drive there and I look at it, but I don't drive to the mountains. So I guess it's beach.
Yeah. I love both too, but yeah, I choose beach for me as well.
Just give me a good view and a cup of coffee. I'm happy, regardless of what I'm looking at.
Right. Okay. Favorite international destination to visit?
Well, I've only had a few, and they were all amazing. On my bucket list right now is Italy, but it's going to be like all the places. But the favorite place probably that I've been to would have to be Paris. I would go back in a hot second. I'd go live there today. It's just so fantastic.
Yes. Summer or winter?
Summer, definitely summer.
Okay, and the last question is things that you have discovered about yourself recently.
Ooh, recently. Well, I still self-sabotage myself, so that's a new one. That that was a big one. What else have I discovered about myself recently? So my plan this year was anytime any opportunity to talk or learn about money comes into my view, I say yes. So I've been doing a lot of, I'm in a course right now with Angela Wilson about being, I want to say be bold in your money, but that bold is my word. It's not, stand strong in your money. That's what it is. And, a couple of other conversations that have happened. So I think the things that I have realized about myself recently is really that whole, like, I'm fine, it's fine, like push it away. Like, as much as you think you've progressed, it still shows up. And it just maybe takes a new shape and a new form or a new topic. And so it takes real intentionality to get out of that. And the only way to be intentional is to make that choice, all the way back to what we were talking about in the beginning. So I think to summarize, the thing that I've learned about myself recently is that the choices I've been making have not been serving me as well as I thought. And that it's time to start making new choices that will get me closer to that dream.
Oh, I love that. That's a beautiful awareness.
No longer stick, doing the same old, right? It's time to start doing some new scary stuff.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you for playing.
Yeah.
Well, again, please connect with Tracie Root. She is amazing. We're going to post all the links. And Tracie, thank you so much for taking the time again to speak today.
It's my pleasure. Any minute with you, Elle, is a minute I want to spend.
Thank you. Have an amazing weekend with all
Thanks, you too.
coming up. Bye.
Have an amazing time. Bye-bye.